Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and share the screen. We're going to jump right back into this chapter 5 like we have done before. Guys, if you're watching this video and the slideshow doesn't work like I'm hoping for it to, sometimes when I put it in slideshow, I don't think it changes along with what I'm doing. So you may have to open it up on another tablet or something and follow along with the slides. No, I'll leave it here and just go through one at a time. That way you won't have to worry about it. So anyway, the last slide we talked about was evidence-based practice, and we talked about that and how, what's the number one thing about evidence-based practice? What do we get from that? What can we save? Time. What else can we save? Money, by not wasting money on something that's not going to work, and we can save some effort because somebody else is doing our research for us to a degree. So that's what that's all about. That's just following back here. So when we are planning things for our patients, for our clients, something that we have to do a lot of times is break down activities into pieces or parts. And that's called activity analysis. And what that's all about, it's systematically appraising what behaviors and skills are required for participation in a given activity. Okay, let's have a little fun here. Let's do an activity analysis on brushing our teeth. What do you need to be able to do to brush your teeth? You need to have enough control in your hands to hold a toothbrush. Does the toothpaste magically just appear on there? Or do you need to be able to probably unscrew the top or pop the top open? You need to be able to do a squeezing motion. Then you have to be able to know probably, you get down to the point of you need to know the difference between cold and hot water maybe. Then you have to stick it under. Then you have to be able to do this motion. You need to be able to spit into this. I mean, there's so many little steps. And if you think about some of the clients that we're working with, like at the NMRC, there's a lot of them that can't do toothbrushing independently because they're missing some step in this activity analysis or multiple steps in this activity analysis to keep them from being able to do it. So when we are coming up with plans for our patients, clients, we need to look at things and be able to break down our activities, bigger activities, into small pieces and say, can they do, you have this list basically of all the things that you need to be able to do. Well, can Isabella do this? Yep. Can she do this? Yep. Can she do this? Yep. But she can't close her hand very well. So what if we build up the handle on her toothbrush? Then can she hold it? Yep. So, and you may have to make adaptations based on those sorts of things, the steps that they can't check off the box on the activity analysis. So activity analysis is all about breaking down your activities into small pieces to make sure that they can do all of these small things that equal the full thing that you're trying to get them to do. Let me look at something real quick. So we've talked about under this activity analysis portion, which will be next, I'm just throwing this out there. This is going to be one part. It's not necessarily written out so well on the syllabus, but it's the next, Tuesday you guys are turning in the client assessment from your hypothetical client that you got. And just to reiterate this for you that are here and for those of you who are not, all you're going to do, you're going to find an appropriate assessment for your client that fits where you can find what they need in a recreation therapy setting, hopefully. Print that out. Go ahead and fill it out for your client. Just, as if you think they would fill it out. You have to kind of think from their point of view sometimes. Fill that out. And then from what you find from that assessment, you're going to give me a prioritized list of at least 3 needs for that client that can be addressed with recreation therapy, hopefully. Don't give me just 3 needs like that we are not related to at all. Like they need glasses. We're not going to do that. You know what I mean? Give me some needs that are going to fit that. So that's your client assessment. That's just up front, first part right there. That's what you're turning in on Tuesday. Also, just a reminder, Tuesday will be the abbreviation quiz. So get that out of the way now too, just to say. Now, the next portion on the syllabus is the activity analysis. And part of what we're going to do there is doing some of this, what we're talking about. We're going to talk about what you're going to do with them and break down a little deeper into what they need to be able to do. You're also going to be talking about goals and objectives in that part too. But when you do that, I want you to look deeper into the objectives and make sure that the activity analysis, that you're making objectives that they can actually do because they pass the activity analysis. Or if you need to make adjustments, you can do that. You with me on that part? Again, I'm getting ahead by that part, but I'm just saying that's where this plays in. That's we're kind of getting into the next step, and it all builds through the semester, and you'll see it all come together beautifully at the end. Promise. So this one's a pretty important slide, and it talks about domains that you can look at with in an activity analysis. And these are domains that we work with in recreation therapy, period. Psychomotor, physical domain. That's can they actually hold a toothbrush? Cognitive domain. Do they understand the difference between cold water and hot water? Affective domain, psychological. That's not going to play into the toothbrushing role, but that's, we have to understand whether someone is psychologically capable of doing some of the activities that we will offer also. And then social skills or interactional skills. Are they comfortable interacting with others? Are they able to interact with others? What are some barriers to keep them from interacting with others? Do they, maybe they speak a different language. Maybe they are visually impaired or auditorily impaired. Those would significantly affect social skills, communication, their willingness and ability to jump in and do this stuff. So, 2 different types of evaluation. Again, evaluation and assessment are different but similar, if you understand what I'm saying. You're evaluating in both cases. In the API process, though, obviously, assessment is the first thing we do. Evaluation, in that realm, evaluation is last, and that's where we're looking to see if what we did was effective or not. Formative evaluation occurs when a program is being conducted It leads to immediate program modifications if they're needed. This is where you're looking to see, hey, how am I doing? How is this working? Do we need to make some changes? Would it be better if the court was smaller? Would it be better if we dropped the goal by a foot? You know, things like that, that you're thinking, hey, this would work better if we, you know, should we move from a volleyball to maybe a beach ball? You know, different things like that are what you're looking at. That's formative evaluation. You're still, it's all still a work in progress to get it exactly where you want to get. You're judging. Summative evaluation takes place at the conclusion of a program. It's used to revise the program the next time it's provided. You've kind of worked out all the kinks, and then after you've worked out all the kinks, how well did it work? You see kind of how that works there. That's, you know, formative is to kind of work out all the kinks on the way. Summative, you see how it worked once you did that, and if there still needs to be some revisions, hopefully you'll be able to come right back in without a whole lot of difficulty because you figured all that out during the formative phase. Nope. Nope. I'm not talking about ladders of abstraction today. We've talked about models and how we use those. Same, you know, models and theories are very similar. They are baseline paths that we can kind of follow loosely when we're planning what we're going to do. People have a theory that if you do this, this is what's going to happen. That's conceptual models are the same way. You know, it's a step-by-step way to provide something, and not one is more correct than another. Some of these you know, we'll talk more about than others, but that's just, know that models and theories are kind of the conceptual models are diagrammatic representations of theories. That's where those two things tie in. So kind of note that one thing from this slide. I'm trying to get through this chapter, guys, quick as I can. So I'm looking at things that are just super important. Okay, one model that we do need to, that you need to be aware of and familiar with to a degree is the health protection / health promotion model. People are motivated toward health through the stability and actualization tendencies. They want to be as healthy as they can, as stable as they can be. Recreation therapist is going to involve planned interventions that are purposeful and goal directed. And we know that that's what therapeutic recreation is. It is purposeful and goal directed. If it's not that, then it's not recreation therapy. Recreation therapists can assist a wide spectrum of clients, including people with chronic illnesses and disabilities, as well as those with acute conditions along the illness to wellness continuum. Basically, someone who has very little issue to someone who is very, very much affected and has a lot of issues that we can work on. People have social needs that include belonging and feeling valued. Social support plays a prominent role in the maintenance and improvement of health. That's been proven through studies, and I guarantee you every one of you can vouch for that. When you feel like you have social support, that you feel better in general, you know, you're going to feel healthier, you're going to feel happier. Positive emotions like pleasure and fun, that means they're means to achieving optimistic views that open people up to new experiences. So when people are experiencing positive emotions, if you can get them bought into what you're doing and they start having positive emotions in your classes, in your presence, then they're going to open up more freely to trying new experiences when you offer those to them. That's what this comes down to. Health protection, the health protection / health promotion model. Health protection part is people want to get back to their normal baseline. They want to get back, you know, if they have something wrong that's bothering them, if they have a leg with arthritis, they want to get back to feeling as normal as possible. That's health protection. They want to get, quote, well. Health promotion deals with doing things that are going to build upon that baseline and help you to feel better than, to build on your normal feeling and become overall more healthy. That's what that portion comes down to. Some things that we, this all comes from the health protection and health promotion model again. We do some things like prescriptive activities. These can energize clients and motivate them to take action to restore their health. Recreation experiences allow them choice and control, helps them to maintain or restore their health. Something to remember, a lot of times you got to think of somebody like, say, Parkinson's. That's degenerative. That's something that is going to continue to, you know, deteriorate through time. However, as a recreation therapist, as a physical therapist, as any part of a healthcare team for someone in this situation, if we can slow that down, if we can keep them where they are for longer, then that's our goal. We may not necessarily restore their health, but we can keep them, we can maintain their health for longer, and that is, a lot of times our goals may not be to improve ambulatory skills in Isabella, you know, walking, to improve her walking skills. We know that we're not going to improve your walking skills because you are in degenerative Parkinson's, but we may say to maintain, it may be a maintenance goal. And how are we going to our goals don't have to be necessarily all active in that way. It could be maintenance goals as well, where we are trying to hold someone where they are. There's still going to be objectives that we use to keep them where they are as much as we can. Successful participation in these prescriptive activities we talked about, recreation and leisure, enhance self-efficacy. What's self-efficacy? Feelings of what? Self-confidence. Let's just say that. I can do this myself. I can do it. I am confident in me. That's self-efficacy. We talked already some about this strength-based approach. When you use that approach, you provide clients means to health protection and health promotion. So it fits both of these sides here. Again, this theoretical proposition, it's drawn from this same model, and I like this model, and it's a big model in our field. That's the reason I'm spending a little bit of time on it. You want to use strength-based approach. It makes them to live their lives and feel as though they are empowered, okay? Strength-based practice pays attention to identifying strengths and what works, rather than just using deficits to guide interventions. So, something that we have to remember, you know, we're talking about assessment in here. Like I say again, this is a large chapter. This is covering the full spectrum, but we have to think in terms of assessments. What we find out, we're not just looking for deficits. Yes, we need to know what needs to be worked on for our patients, but we also need to know what they're good at, because doing an activity that they're good at in a certain way can work on their deficits while boosting their self-efficacy, self-confidence, and morale. See where the strength-based plays in and how it can be positive, and why we need to find both of those things during assessment. Strengths, weaknesses, needs, they all need to be found. This whole deal is a holistic approach to health. We want to have a good client-therapist relationship. That's going to, the better the relationship is, the more changes we're going to see, positive changes we're going to see in health status of our patients. And the key to having that client-therapist relationship that really works is for us to be genuine, non-judgmental, and empathetic, okay? They're going to feel like they're in a safe and caring environment if that's who we are to them. Okay. Again, a lot of this you already know. Warm, positive, accepting, and hopeful atmospheres and programs are going to promote change. Cold, negative, non-accepting, and doubtful atmospheres would not promote client change in a positive manner, right? I mean, common sense here. You want to be all of those things. People want to maintain control over their lives and function independently. So recreation therapists are not manipulative or controlling. That's where I've said a bunch of times that we need to make them be a big part in the planning process. We want to let them feel free to talk to us openly about the whole process as it's going on. They need to be, and they need to be as independent as possible along the way. And what's that favorite term of mine that has to do with that? For letting them be as independent as possible? Least restrictive environment is what we want them to always be in, which means we want them to be as independent as possible. Us give the least amount of intervention or help as possible. That, believe it or not, even if they're struggling to do something, but if they do it on their own, I promise you it makes them feel better than if we are hurrying them along because we need to get somewhere. Let them be as independent as they can. Recreational therapists assume different roles depending on the needs of clients. That plays into the whole thing that all the people we deal with are individuals and every one of them is going to be different. And that's why we need that rapport. That's why we need to get to know our patients. And that's how you, through time, you'll really be able to discern how to deal with different type patients. Some people need that tough love. And some people need that little coddle and a little pat on the back. And that's just the way it is. Coaching sports and playing sports, you see that too. Some people, man, if the coach gets in their face and they yell at them, and I don't want to ever see that happen. The next play, they are going to destroy the person in front of them. Some people, if that coach gets in their face and does that same thing, they're just going to sulk and not even try the rest of the game. People are motivated very differently. And, that's like me. I wouldn't have done well with being in the military because I don't think I could handle somebody right here in my face yelling at me. Wouldn't be for me. That would get me like super mad, like I'd have a cape on. I'd be so super mad. I'd be that mad. That would not motivate me to do anything. So we're all different. Now, obviously, clients who are experiencing very poor health, they're the most dependent on recreation therapists. But even for these clients, we need to make sure that we encourage client choice and self-control, self-choices for these patients, even though they're in poor health. We still want to try to give them as much independence as possible, no matter what level of the continuum they're on, okay? Client preferences and perceptions are important in all phases of the recreation therapy process. So we want them to be involved. We want them to be part of the entire process and feel free. We want them to feel comfortable talking to us throughout the process. And we want to check with them periodically and say, hey, how do you think things are going? Is there anything you want to see? Do you want to try something different? That's a good thing. That makes them see that we care. That makes them see that we want them to be as independent and make as many choices as they can. So that's a very, very, very positive thing. Some other models, we're going to talk a little bit about some of these, and some of these play into, they have assessments that go along with these. So you'll see them closer coming up shortly. Leisure ability model. We just talked about health protection, health promotion, therapeutic recreation service delivery and therapeutic recreation outcome models, leisure and well-being model. That's enough of those. Those top four are probably the most commonly delved into. Then they start talking about each one of these a little bit. And I'll talk about the main ones. The leisure ability model holds that recreation and leisure are necessary experiences that all people, including those with limitations, should enjoy. Okay? That's key. It's basically everyone, regardless of what's going on with you, needs to have recreation and leisure that's enjoyable to you. So the purpose of the services under this model is to help the client develop a satisfying leisure lifestyle, the independent functioning of the client in leisure experiences and activities of his or her choice. There's three components that are listed here, and they're functional interventions, leisure education, and recreation participation. We've touched on this one a little bit already, I believe. If not in this class, maybe it was 372. I get the two confused because they're right after each other. You probably do the same, the ones of y'all that are in here for both. But you have to think about those three components. Know that they're part of the leisure ability model. Functional interventions that's actually doing activities that are interventions to help something in particular. Sometimes we do just leisure education. How do we do certain leisure activities? What leisure activities are available? How do you gain access to these leisure activities? Things like that. And then recreation participation. And that's something that we want people to do once they are out of our care and not not with us necessarily. We're building leisure participation and recreation participation for their future is what we're looking at. We've already talked about this one the most. Basically, health protection, health promotion, we want people to have the highest level of health that's possible for them. Health protection helps people regain their equilibrium or, homeostasis, their normal health following an illness or disability, and help people with chronic illnesses and disabilities to adaptively cope. Health promotion is there to help people reach optimal levels of health. That's a good that part there, that middle portion would be a good thing to remember, because that's good information for explaining exactly what this model is about. The three major components: prescriptive activities, recreation, and leisure. going to skip through some of these things here. See, a lot of these models are very similar. I'm not going to keep rehashing the same thing with just different titles. When it comes time to do, if they're going to be on a test, I will try to tell you the ones that are going to be the most important for you to focus on when you're studying, because this really is, a lot of this is overkill, because a lot of these different models, although I'm not discounting their importance, models are models, and they're not one is necessarily better than the other. You may choose one that you like better than other. Like I really like the health protection, health promotion model. I like that one. It makes sense to me. You want to get them back to normal, back to their normal health, and then try to build on that to an optimum lifestyle. That just makes sense to me. The rest of these are also, very similar. This one, for example, leisure and well-being model. The purpose is to produce a state of successful, satisfying, and productive engagement with one's life and the realization of one's full physical, cognitive, and social emotional potential. That's wordy. That's a lot going on right there. You just want people to have a satisfying life that includes leisure, is what it boils down to on this one. So we're not diving a whole lot deeper into that. We will talk, let's see here, some commonalities among the conceptual models. Like I said, they're also similar, or, at least in the same framework. They help clients to alleviate problems, to achieve optimal levels of health and well-being, assist clients toward achieving independent functioning, which is one of our main keys that we want, as independent as possible, deal with the entire spectrum of the illness to wellness continuum. We want them to have self-determination and positive emotions of being integral to client success in recreation therapy. Prizing the positive consequences to be gained through meaningful recreation and leisure experiences. That's part of our role as recreation therapists, is getting them to see the positive consequences of meaningful recreation and leisure. Like, think about how much better you would feel rather than sitting on the couch watching Netflix if you were out socializing and doing this. If we're giving them options that are other leisure, more active leisure type events, things like that. Another thing, these models follow a systematic step-by-step approach with clients. You want to follow a strength-based perspective again. Acknowledge the importance of the client and recreation therapist relationship. We know that's important, and it plays a big role in how much of a positive outcome you're going to have. You want to make sure that everyone has a positive, supportive environment that offers optimal opportunities for success. That's up to us in a lot of ways. Sometimes, it has to do with their support system and things like that. When it comes down to what we are providing, if we want to give them optimal opportunities for success, that comes down to those things that we've talked about before, where we have to make things challenging yet attainable for our clients. So we want to give them opportunities for success. Assisting clients to develop healthy living habits they'll take with them when they're no longer in recreation therapy. That can be that can have to do with eating. That can have to do with just general activity. That can have to do with, when I have negative thoughts, what do I do? It can be all of those things that they take with them when they're no longer in recreation therapy. We talked about evidence-based practice. problem-solving approach that serves as a mean for recreation therapists to make appropriate and effective clinical decisions when planning interventions with clients. It considers the best evidence to support the intervention, our expertise and experience, and the client's preferences. We've had that slide already. There's 3 E's in evidence-based practice to remember. Evidence, it just helps you to remember in kind of an easy way what evidence-based practice is all about. It's based on evidence, what is your expertise and experience, and what expectations do you have and does the client have. Evidence, expertise, expectations. It moves recreational therapists away from traditional approaches. And I like this slide, I like this part, the part in quotes here. We do it this way because we've always done it like that. That sucks. That's not good. That's not a good way to do things. That is stale. That is a bad reason. That is a bad answer to give someone when they ask you, well, why do you do it this way? Because we've always done it this way. You like that answer? Nope, not good. It changes it from that to approaches based on evidence. We do it this way because the most up-to-date evidence supports that this is the best way to do it. I made that kind of sound fancy, but like, think about it. It makes sense. That is a heck of a lot better than saying because we've always done it like this. That's not cool. Evidence-based practice involves the recreational therapist and the client. The RT's expertise and experience are very important. Do I have the expertise and experience to implement the intervention? Do I need to do some study? Do I need to do some work before I do this particular intervention? Or do I need to refer them to my colleague who's been here for 20 years longer than me that knows more about this stuff? That's okay. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to, you can ask questions. Yeah, you can read up on things. The client also plays a role in the decision making where they have to say, yes, I'm willing to engage in the intervention. And that's what I call buying in. They have to buy into what you're selling. All right, let's wrap up this chapter with this. I did not cover every single slide. I think that I covered enough slides. This was a huge chapter in the book, and it's very, again, sorry this took so long. I'm not sorry that we went over it because it's the foundation for the whole reason that we do assessments. If you don't have this backbone to put it all together, the process, then you won't know why we're doing assessments and what we're going to do with them once we do them. So that's why this one's such an important chapter to me and worth the time that we spent on it. The argument for evidence-based practice is simple. If there's a better way to practice, then therapists should find it. Makes a whole lot of sense. It's very simple. And that will conclude on this chapter. So let me look at something real quick. We're not done. Again, next class, turn in your assignment number 1. I told you what I wanted a little earlier in the video. If you are not here, shh, I'm making a video here. You're going to have your first assignment, very simple. Bring an assessment tool filled out for your client, and based on that and the hypothetical situation, give me 3 prioritized needs that we can address using recreation therapy. Very simple, very small. I'm not asking for a 10-page paper. Shouldn't take you a long time to do this. The time that you're not doing that, you need to be looking over those abbreviations, because we are going to have that quiz on Tuesday. Last year, I did a 30-point quiz. This year, I might add 10 more. Since there's so many of them on that list, why not let you get credit for knowing 10 more or 20 more? I don't know. Just study the ones that I had y'all mark. They're not too terribly hard. The points from this aren't going to kill you, make you, or break you, and you guys know that I'm help you along the way during the semester. So don't stress super hard, but bring those two things on Tuesday. Now, let me stop my share here and then end this where it can start